To Cleveland Browns Daily on a First Friday Miracle Edition. I am merely Bo. He is Admiral Zagura. We are doing it live. Good lid. Good looking brim out of you. You know what I watched? I know we have Deshaun.
It's a good one.
Coming.
Listen, I offered to put this on your head. You rejected it.
That's not true. It is true. We're waiting on Deshaun, right? So when this could come at any moment. So he'll be at the podium. But that made me think of last night. There was no live sports. So Amy's still exhausted from Mexico, so me and NBC were looking for something to watch, bouncing back and forth between the documentary ESPN had on the Dodgers and Yankees, and then Top Gun Maverick was on Paramount Plus. So it has commercials. So in the commercials, I would pop over to the other one, and it's a win. We've seen it 1,000 times. There is no scenario where Hangman is not in the final mission.
Agreed.
It's outrageous.
Egregious.
In retrospect. He's the best pilot, not particularly close. He's got the coolest demeanor, and I don't mean like the fact that Glenn Powell's got a lot of aura, as the kids say. I mean he's the most fighter pilot-esque guy there is. He's not – they took 3 of them.
I know.
One of which landed a plane into the side of a mountain in training.
Yes.
And they took them over Hangman.
So
Watson.
Oh, man, I read about this.
Deshaun Watson, here you go.
And how we want to protect.
You're down.
And then pretty much go from there. So communication is always key, regardless who's out there or not.
How much do you think the slow start for the offense is trying to learn the new offense that you guys are running?
I'm not sure on that. You know, we just got to continue to just start fast, and when we do, we got to continue to pick up speed. We can't slow down. So that's the only thing I can say about that.
Do you think it has anything to do with it?
I don't know.
So when you talked about the communication with the offensive line, how much do you think that is responsible or important it is when you're talking about picking up those blitzes that maybe you don't expect going into a game and a team blitzes you a lot like the Giants did? How much of that is being on that same page with that line?
I mean, yeah, we just all got to see it through the same eyes and through the same scope, and that's where you come to the sideline, you adjust, you watch, you look at the tablet, seeing what they're doing, and you try to pick it up. You know, the Giants did a good job of mixing up pressures when they brought it, and you know, we just didn't capitalize on that. So, you know, we just got to, settle in and be able to make those adjustments. Each and every week, there's going to always be a new wrinkle to a blitz that a team showed. But, until we pick it up, we might see that. So we just got to continue to just keep our eyes and head up and communicate throughout the whole process and try to make sure we, seeing everything through the same eyes.
I think last week you said that, you're always going to trust your instincts and, we know that you were going to extend some plays and whatnot, but given the injuries on the offensive line and the fact that teams are, blitzing you a lot more, do you think that you need to, make it a point to get the ball out of your hands a little bit quicker?
Well, we got to all be on the same page. It depends on the blitz, too. It might be a man-covered blitz. It might be a zone pressure blitz. It just depends on the blitz. So just because the ball is getting out of my hands fast doesn't mean that we're going to be explosive or not. So sometimes we might have the protection and the guys to pick it up. We just got to block it up. The routes might be a little bit different. It might not be quick game on the blitzes. It might be deep shots that we did last week and the previous week before, and we just didn't pick up, those blitz. So it just depends on the route concept.
You used to, taking all of the heat for when things aren't going right on an offense. Have you been through a period like this before in your career where it just seems like, and I know you're probably blocking out the noise, but where it seems like you're taking the full blame for the offense's struggles?
I probably have, but, too much is given, much is required. And I've always lived by that on and off the field. So, when everything is going right, then, you get the praise. And when everything is going bad, you get the blame. So it's part of that. The NFL is part of this position. So, to me, it doesn't bother me. We just got to find ways to continue to get better each and every week.
Remember in the preseason, you kind of chuckled when you said you're going to try to avoid taking a hit if you could. You've taken a bunch in 3 weeks. I'm just wondering physically how you're holding up. I'm
holding up very well. So doing really good, feeling well. Each and every week, just got to recover, regroup, get with my team, and all the treatment and regen that we have in this building, and make sure I'm ready to go on Sundays. But right now, I'm feeling good.
You haven't seemed to have hesitated at all and tucked it and gone when you needed to. Were you confident that that was going to come back naturally, that, despite some time off, that you'd be able to do those things again?
Of course. I think I mentioned that. I think someone asked me that during training camp or earlier. And just when I'm on the field, I'm not thinking about anything but trying to make something positive happen. So until I have to be dragged off the field or something like that, I'm going to go 110%. That's just always been in my MO. So I'm never going to hesitate on pulling and running, things like that. Obviously, I'm going to be smart and not trying to run up or run over no defensive guy. That's not my specialty. But if I can make something happen and try to get something positive, then I'm going to do that for sure.
After watching the tape, what was one thing that you took away that you yourself could do better from an offensive perspective?
As far as just individually or just overall offense? If I had to pick something, I would probably say just continue to just get on the same page with the receivers. To the normal eye of a fan, it might seem like a pass was offered, things like that. I'm the type of player and quarterback that I can adjust and make every throw, regardless if we're not on the same page. But I think just continue to get on the same page in certain situations. I think that's the biggest thing. So if that's a little extra film work with the receivers, extra walkthroughs, just communicating on the sideline a little bit better, all those things.
Using that 4th and 1 play where it seemed like Jordan was open and you ran the ball to make the case that you're not seeing the field well this season. So my question to you is, are you seeing the field well, and maybe what are other people not seeing on that particular play?
Because other people are not in the film room, so that not everyone know exactly what the read was. That was a decoy, so that's the difference. Everyone can pause the tape and say, hey, he should have thrown it here, should have thrown it here. Every quarterback deal with that. So if you choose one play and that's the play out of the whole game that everyone is calling, then so be it. It is what it is. No one's in those film rooms. No one is making those decisions. So I go based off of what is Ken Dorsey and Kevin Stefanski is saying. And, on that decision, they made a good play. They got jammed up on the slant. That's what we did it. The previous time when we scored a touchdown, I did the same as that read, and I hit Jerry. So, did I see it wrong then? So for me, it's just, like I said before, it's just I go based off what Kevin and Ken is making those decisions and how they're grading me on that.
Would you like to see more designed runs in the game plan? I don't mean just
for me.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going in there to ask them for more design runs. So,
knowing you're going to run with the ball from.
I'm not trying. If I don't have to run, I'm not going to run. So I'm not trying to take any hits.
More design runs.
Because I'm not a running quarterback in a sense. I can make things happen, but I'm not trying to run. I'm not a running back. That's not my specialties. They signed me to throw the ball, make decisions, and be a quarterback, not a runner.
So with that, Deshaun, the fact that the running game has not gotten going with Nick Chubb out, how much does that hurt the growth of this offense?
We just got to get on the same page. We can't rely on just one player. Injuries happens. Some people can play this week, some people can't. So, in the time being, we don't have Nick Chubb right now. So we got to make everything happen with the guys that we have in that locker room.
You guys preach next man up mentality, but what has Wyatt Teller meant to the offensive line? And obviously they just announced that he's on IR.
Yeah, it's a huge loss for us. Wyatt is a pro's pro. He gives everything each and every day. He comes, he works each and every week. He's gonna go full throttle regardless if he's banged up or not. And he just knows exactly how to play that guard position. He helps out with all the guys up front, helps out with me. He goes to the final whistle. He's a beast. So I think, definitely we're going to miss Wyatt and making sure that he gets healthy as soon as possible. And when we get him back, we're definitely going to be excited.
How hard is it to succeed when you get sacked as much as you're getting sacked, right? You sacked 8 times and hit 17 times on Sunday. How hard is it as a quarterback to succeed like that?
I think that's a common sense question. I think honestly, not being rude, but I think just, yeah.
Deshaun, do you you have to continuously try to block out all the criticism that you're getting right now, and also do you block out like where you are in QBR, your rating, the numbers that all of that stuff is flying around out there. So how are you handling all of that?
I don't see it, so I don't focus on it.
Is it frustrating for you, like fans try to put you in this box and say like, hey, when's the right time to make a play versus when's the right time to kind of tuck it? It seems like they want you to be more, frugal in that aspect. Is it frustrating for you because like that you were brought in here to kind of turn this into a Super Bowl contender? So does that get a little bit, frustrating to answer those questions?
No, because I know reality. I see the game differently than the fans see it. So I don't get frustrated because someone else's opinion from seeing it from the stands or pausing it on tape think that this is the right decision. So if you're not a coach or playing the quarterback position, I might hear it depending on who you are, but at the end of the day, no one's in the meeting rooms but me, Ken, Kevin, DTR, and Jameis. So we know the reads. We know exactly where the ball should go. And like I said before, we just, whatever grade that we get graded on each and every Monday after the game, that's what we go with.
Looking for more design run. Just the threat of you as an athletic quarterback, how can that help you guys in the run game, making them, account for all 11 guys?
I mean, it can. It possibly can. So I won't say that it won't help out the offense as far as just the run game. But, I mean, coming back from an injury, I don't think that is high priority for Kevin to put me in that situation, because go out there and I'm design run and something happens, then it's like now you're mad at Kevin, so I feel like it's a lose-lose situation, honestly.
I think the team's mindset is 1-2, and with all the injuries that you guys are facing.
Just be 1-0 this week, trying to beat Vegas. That's all our mindset is.
You guys are so positive and optimistic.
We got 14 more opportunities, so anything can happen in the NFL.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. Your quarterback, Deshaun Watson, from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package day for the ultimate game day. Deshaun was the quarterback of the last 0-3 team to get to the postseason. He was the quarterback in Houston 18 when they did just that. And that's, of course, we're not 0-3. We're 1-2. So he's been down this road before. Nothing that ails him or this offense cannot be fixed on Sunday in Las Vegas. Play well, get a win, and it all goes away.
It does feel like some of the questions that are being asked of him, I feel like, are questions that would be asked of a team that is 4-12 and there is no season left. Now, granted, this has not started the way anybody's wanted. It's not started the way I've wanted. It's not started the way you've wanted. It's not started the way Mo Pedman's wanted. None of us. 1-2, not what you wanted. But can you get to 2-2? You were 2-2 after 4 games last year. Can you do that again this year? Why not? Go to Vegas, take care of business, and then you see if you can get on a little bit of a run. But the season's not over. It is not an ideal start by any stretch of the imagination, but the season's far from over at this point. And you've got to go and take care of your business. Now, I thought that that was the most defensive, I would say, that he's been to some of the questions, and I thought some of the questions he gave an appropriate answer to because they were like, duh, yeah.
Yeah.
All this stuff wears on them, and the only cure-all in the National Football League for whether it be this type of discourse, uncomfortable press conferences, social media, people,
get us lined up,
giving people the business, any of that is playing well and winning. Mm-hmm. And the only people that can control that are the people who put the uniform on and then the coaches that put them in the positions and the players to go execute these things. If they do that, they're going to win. If they don't, it could get to the point where it becomes ugly. But I think right now the season is not over. There are things that are, in a very small sample size, incredibly bad. Some of those things that in a much larger sample size have been very, very good in the past. And you've just got to go out there, handle your business, and you've got to win. That's bottom line. Bottom line. This is, I even thought Kevin Stefanski when he was talking earlier, you could tell nobody's happy with what's going on or the way that this team has presented itself, certainly not as an offensive unit. So you need to go and become the team that you believe that you are. And if you do that and play well and win, all of this stuff goes away.
Two things you said jumped out to me really everything you say. I pay very close attention.
Thank you.
You use the phrase wears on them. This all wears on them. It's week 3.
That's what I'm saying.
So, like, the desperation of this feels much more like it's week 7 or 8, and you're 2-6.
Yeah.
That's not where you are. It's 1-2. That's it. It's been bad offensively to start the year, far worse than any of us thought. The other thing you said was use the word identity in regard to this goes back to the question that we asked on Monday when you and I were having the discussion following the game, which is what exactly do we do right offensively? What do we do well offensively? And so far we haven't really done anything well offensively. So that has to be job one this week is let's not try to beat the Buffalo Bills Sunday. Let's not try to beat the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday. Let's not try to win the Super Bowl Sunday. Let's find one or two things that we can hang our hat on and say we do these things well. The one thing that we've always done since Kevin has been here is we've run the football effectively. It is easier to run block than it is to pass block. That we know.
Yep.
You're not on your heels. You're pushing forward. If it were me, and I'm not a 2-time NFL Coach of the Year, he is, I would revert back to what you've done well over the last 3 years. We did not have tackles in that run towards last season. We did not have Nick Chubb towards that season. And yes, Flacco and the offense and Cooper and all of that happened down the field. Hopefully get Chief back relatively soon, and those things can start to open up. But that was all built on an ability to run the ball first.
Yep.
And so I hope what we see Sunday in Vegas is reverting back a little bit to what we've done well historically under Kevin. That gives you the identity, and then you can build it out from there. It's my hope.
I mean, I think that should have been what it was all along. Now, you have two things that are, I think, fighting each other in that, right? Number one is we saw last year what this offense can be when you have a true, you're running the wide zone, and you have a true big pocket passing quarterback that is comfortable, and not only comfortable, but excels in hard play action, back to the defense, turning around, having that pitcher and ripping it, which Joe Flacco certainly did well. Joe Flacco did other things not so well. I mean, we know how many interceptions and pick sixes he threw, things like that. But Joe Flacco was great at running that and creating the big plays off of the marriage and the run and the pass. Deshaun Watson's career, if you go back and watch him in Houston, yes, he could play under center, and every quarterback can play some play action, but that is not necessarily the strength of his game. The strength of his game was being in shotgun, making plays, and either in structure or, in many cases, out of structure, hitting big plays, whether it was to Will Fuller or, in their prime DeAndre Hopkins. He did all of that. Brandon Cooks, whatever it was down there, all these guys. Here, I think that Deshaun's not necessarily at his best at the things that Kevin does best, but I don't think they've quite figured out how to create what used to be happening in Houston. And quite frankly, the league's different than it was in 18, 19, and 20.
Yes.
The personnel that's on the field for defenses, the speed on defense, all of it. The best athletes on the field now, I think it has definitely changed. The best athletes on the field now are a lot of them are on the defense.
It's a very interesting thing you just said, because as you're starting to make that point, I started to do it in my head like, all right, position groups, if you're drafting best athletes in the NFL, position group-wise.
Might be the defensive line now.
They'd be way up there. I mean, you think of receivers, corners, D-line, linebackers, safety. I mean, running back, sure, but not like it used to be at one point where the best – now – a guy that used to be in the old days a running back, you find a place for him at safety, or you put him at receiver,
play
or
receiver
put him in corner.
Yeah,
that's where you do. That's where the money is.
Travis Hunter.
Yeah, it's changed a lot with that.
And I think that the athleticism and the just dominance and explosiveness that bigger defensive players have now is one of the reasons why you're seeing them in large part, be able to dominate offensive lines today.
Yeah.
Like if you're a big guy and you're a stud, Are you going to be like, I want to be an offensive lineman, or are you going to be like, let me go be a defensive
DN, D tackle,
or
and
a
go
D
blow
tackle,
stuff
go,
up?
yeah, and go make $20-something million a year?
Yeah. No, it's business decisions in that sense are being made. I think it's a great point out of you about how much it's all changed. We are back on the practice field. It's happening now. In terms of the injury report here, there's a lot to it. DeJuan Jones and James Hudson will practice, so that's very good news there. Not practicing today, Miles. He has 3 injury designations: Achilles, foot, thigh. That's a lot for week 3.
That doesn't sound great.
That's a lot for week 3. No, it does not sound great. Jack Conklin with a hammy is not practicing. Jed Wills with a knee is not practicing. Jerome Ford, so this is a new one, with a knee is not practicing. Jordan Hicks with the rib elbow, he's not practicing. Chief not practicing with the ankle. And Pierre Strong not practicing with the hammy. So it is just foreman of our guys who are up at running back practicing today is where that'll go.
Foreman and Gary Brightwell.
Was he up last week?
He was.
Okay.
He was elevated last week, did not see any action.
Coach also mentioned that they're going to be adding tackle help. Did I see Fetty get?
Fetty signed to the roster, so Teller's on IR, and Jermaine Fetty has been signed to the roster, which was very much expected. Former first-round pick of Seattle in 2016. He's played 104 games with 83 career starts.
Coach also not ruling out Chief for this week. He will do some work, and we'll see how that one goes. So that would be a big positive sign if we could get Chief back to help.
Yeah, you would love to see that. I would don't count on it at this point. I don't think there's any reason to do that. And I've also been reading a lot about DeJuan Jones and people blaming him on being out of shape for what's going on.
People are idiots.
That couldn't be farther from the truth.
Nope.
DeJuan is a big guy, yes. He's hurt right now, and you could tell he could not move. This guy played basketball. He has good movement skills. He could not move in that game against the Giants, and that's why they took him out, because he's hurt and wasn't able to move at the level that you're used to. When he can, he's very, very effective. So I don't know why we're getting some of that. To me, that's not what's happening.
DeJuan Jones's heart and guts were on display when he probably, in a normal circumstance, well, not probably, he was not going to play in the second half.
No.
But we had no choice, and so we went out and played right tackle.
Correct.
He gutted it out and played right tackle.
Correct.
Not at his best, but you had to have somebody do it. He said, "Oh, fine, I'll do it." And he did it.
Yep.
So there's zero questioning of him. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. Okay. Hangman was not on the final mission.
Okay.
I see no scenario how that's the truth and that would have happened in real life.
So this is what so I did some reading on this.
You watched this, so you flew Blue Angels and then you watched it again.
Yeah.
I've seen it 30 times, like easy already. I mean, the boys love it. I love it. If I'm looking for something to do, I'll watch for 45 minutes. I can watch it in segments. I'll watch just the beginning up until he gets there, or I'll watch the training or the final mission. I don't watch it all the way through all the time, but it's always great.
Yep. So there is a parallel, if you remember, there is a parallel to the original Top Gun.
Yes.
Who was the best pilot in the original Top Gun?
Ice.
Maverick was the best pilot.
Ice won the trophy, baby.
He
Ice
did
didn't
win the
lose
trophy.
a wingman. Ice didn't go below
you
the hard
could make
deck.
the argument it was the guy that had the mental breakdown, and
Cougar.
Maverick
Poor
took
Cougar.
his
Poor
spot.
Cougar.
Cougar was out. That's the beginning of the movie, dude. We're talking about the final battle. Cougar lost it, turning his wings. He was number one.
But
you
at the
guys,
time-
You guys are number one now.
Yeah.
Ice, man.
Okay.
But still, he should have gone. Maverick should have been the second one.
What they were trying to portray about Maverick, right, was that he was perhaps the most skilled pilot.
Yes.
I'll rephrase that. But because he was at times selfish and reckless and didn't function in the team environment as well as he was just a one-on-one dogfighter, he wasn't chosen for the final mission either.
I would also argue that part of the reason for that is because his best friend died in training, and he was traumatically destroyed.
I mean, he was cleared
wouldn't
of
even
all
go up.
He was cleared of all wrongdoing.
I know, but he wouldn't even go up. Remember?
He should have
who's
put
the
him
guy
in
with the bonsai helmet who was going, and he goes and grabs him. I'll take him. I'll engage when I.
Was it Merlin?
No, it was the guy before Merlin. He had the red and white black guy. He was the replacement.
Oh,
first
yeah,
replacement.
yeah.
Lit him up because he
I'll
wouldn't
go
know.
when I'm goddamn good at
That's
red.
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That one.
Yes.
So like that, there's none of that with Hangman.
No, but I think so. There was the thing. What they were saying is Hangman gets compared to Iceman because he looks like him and he's cool like him and all of that. But that the point they were making is that he was similar to Maverick in that this was a mission that required ultimate teamwork, and he wasn't a team guy, and that was kind of shown in a lot of the trainings and whatnot. Was he the best? I think he was the best pilot,
clearly,
by a pretty wide
margin.
Yeah. So there's
Phoenix
that
and
part
Bob
of it.
drove a plane into a mountain.
Well, they were not,
and
good.
they got picked.
So I think that the
and
other
didn't
part
the other guy
of it is
black out and almost go into a spin.
yeah.
They
It was
picked
Phoenix
him?
and Bob and Payback and Fanboy were in the 2-seaters,
Yeah.
but wasn't. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't. I'm gonna blank. Hangman flew in a 1-seater. So there are only two. There are only two 1-seaters.
Oh,
one
so
was
he
Maverick,
had to be-
and the other had to be Rooster. He knew he was
Rooster.
going to take Rooster.
Yeah.
So that left him out. So those are the two things that I read, was that it was
Oh,
a
maybe
parallel.
that's it.
He's actually closer to Maverick in the first one than he is
course,
to
yes, he is, for
Iceman, and that that Rooster had to be in it.
Which is all the more interesting because Powell read for Rooster, and you could have done the exact same movie with Rooster essentially being Maverick.
Yeah.
And that being something that Maverick can't deal with, and then having to break him. And that because Rooster was really more like Ice. Like he's conservative and he's those things.
And
Ice was
Ice lobbied
pilot.
for him to let Rooster be in the mission too.
He
So
did.
I think at one point it was going to be Maverick and Hangman, and then when Ice and he's like, okay, it's got to be Rooster. So then Hangman was out.
Why?
I don't know.
I see no scenario. Okay, then just change the other pilot operation.
The weird thing
Don't
about
give me
it
the
is-
2-seaters. Just give me. I want Hangman doing the dang thing.
Hangman and Rooster, in retrospect, are both Maverick from the first movie, because you have Hangman being the like a little bit reckless, not necessarily a team player, but just the best dogfighter out there, and then Rooster's the Maverick that wouldn't engage and was too slow and too like
Yeah.
Also, you kind of have it all in there.
We need modes on this.
Yeah,
I haven't run this one past him. The last time I texted him on a
I read
question,
about this. This is what I read about.
And I believe you. I think you have very good stuff.
I don't
But
know.
I
That's
mean,
what people
we
are
have
saying.
a former Secretary of the Navy, Undersecretary of the Navy
That's
at our
right.
disposal. And the last time I asked him a question about it, it was about the mock whatever. And he goes, and the boys were asked, he goes, just tell him it's a movie, enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty fair. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah. But Hangman should have, he was the guy. He was the guy.
There
And
was
they could do
another
a hell
thing
of a
that I
sequel,
read-
by the way, with just those two.
The other thing that I read
Powell's
was
got the juice.
Powell originally auditioned for the role of Rooster,
That's
which
fact.
went to Miles Teller. He was offered the part of Hangman, who at the time was called Slayer. At first, Powell wasn't interested in the role, believing Hangman to be two-dimensional and without purpose. And frankly, he wasn't supposed to be a great pilot, and he wasn't supposed to be a great guy. He was just kind of supposed to be whatever.
Just a jerk in the mix?
Just kind of a jerk, yeah.
Jerk who sucks?
Basically.
No, there's not much
And
to that.
so Powell kind of pushed back on it, and they kind of created a Hangman that was better in the sense that he is, and they changed the name to Hangman. He'll always leave out dry, that he's the best pilot. It gave him a chance to be beyond just being Rooster's rival, but being a different style of him, and it made him. So I think in the original script when it was going to go, it was always going to be Rooster and Maverick. I think Hangman, because of the way they changed it in Glenn Powell's notes, became a more compelling character. And so then the reasons that he wouldn't be in would be, it was always going to be Maverick and Rooster, and then the single-seaters. And then two, they could say he's kind of like Maverick was, who was left out in the first one because he's too reckless and not a team guy.
I think also, like, Teller looked so much like Goose, the mannerisms, the piano, all of it, that it just worked. But, like,
Hangman, that movie is not as good without Hangman.
no, he's so much fun to watch.
Yes.
I'm all in on that guy. Even the end, when they kind of let him have his kind of victory at the end, kind of enjoy the spoils. Like I'm very good, Rooster. It's great. It's so strong. Great film. Great film. I still don't understand dogfight football. NBC asked me about it. He goes, "What are they doing?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it."
They didn't understand it either. They asked him about that on the Manning cast.
They asked Teller about it?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah,
I missed
Eli's
that.
like, Eli Paler, well, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
How can you be on offense and defense at the same time?
What did he say?
How they're two bosses. He's like, it's just, he's like, guys, it's just team building, having fun. He goes, I will tell you, though, we all, for the 3 months before that, he's like, none of us were in better shape at a second before that day, nor were we in better shape a second after that day.
Powell told a story that they actually had to reshoot it, and after they shot it the first time, they all went and had like tater tots and milkshakes and hamburgers, and then Cruz is like, actually, we need to do it again. They're like, really? We got to do it again.
No.
Also, Tom Cruise is playing dogfight football without a shirt and jeans.
Jeans on a beach. It's outrageous.
Amazing. We'll beat the Raiders coming up next. We're off and running on a First Friday. Cleveland Browns Daily brought to you by Ballybet. Sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Game day this season with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your first bet of $50 or more. You get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to meet the Las Vegas Raiders. Head coach Antonio Pierce. He is 6-6 in his second season. Interim coach last year. First year as full-time head coach this year. The Raiders lead the all-time series between the Raiders and Browns. Of course, some historic games in there. 17-10. Last time we played them, they beat us here in 21. December 20th of 2021, 16-14. Last time out, the Raiders lost to Carolina.
Do you know who started at quarterback for the Browns?
36-22. Starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns in 2021. Nick Mullins?
Nick Mullins. That was the Nick Mullins game.
What a job out of me.
That is a great job out of you.
I remember that vaguely. Yeah.
Apparently not that
Ladies
vaguely.
and gentlemen, now that it's out of his car.
Let him hear you.
Let him hear you.
Let him hear you. Yeah, Nick Mullins. It was
Nick
a Daniel
Mullins.
Carlson field goal at the end of that game.
That's right.
That won it for them.
Yeah.
It's pre-Devontae Adams. That was back when Hunter Renfrow was a 1,000-yard receiver.
He was 1,000. Was that Gruden still there, or was he fired at that point and then
Let's see.
an interim in 21?
21 was Rich Bisaccia was the head coach by the time that it got to the Cleveland
Gruden
Browns.
started.
Gruden started season and was gone due to his emails.
Right.
Derek Carr threw for 236 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. The leading rusher was Josh Jacobs. The leading receiver was Zay Jones that day. Brian Edwards caught the only touchdown. They had Zay Jones, Hunter Renfrow, Deshaun Jackson, who looks so good in the number 1 in the Raiders
Yes,
uniform.
he did. Yep.
And Foster Moreau was the tight end. Wow. We had Nick Mullins. Nick Chubb ran for 91 and a touchdown. Our leading receiver that day was Donovan Peoples-Jones with 4 for 48. It's amazing.
Prolific.
This is 2021.
It's funny. Go ahead.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, Hollywood Higgins, Demetric Felton, Harrison Bryant, Dearness Johnson. Chief was the only person who caught a pass that's on the team right now, along with Nick Chubb. He had 1 catch for 2 yards.
When you were starting to do that, I was wondering if I was going to go down that road if you wouldn't. That's only 3 years ago, kids.
Yeah.
And it's
here's our defense that day. Now, this was a COVID game, so we were down people. Greedy Williams had a pick. MJ Stewart led the team with 11 tackles. Tommy Togiai had half a sack. Joe Jackson had half a sack. Sheldon Day had half a sack.
Oh, my gosh. I don't
Javante
remember
Moffett
Joe
had
Jackson
8
at
tackles. Tock had 6. Jordan Elliott 5. John Johnson was the safety. He had a pass defense. Malcolm Smith, 5-star Porter Gustin. Anthony Walker, Elijah Lee, Miller Forrestal, Malik Jackson, Richard LeCount. The only names.
God.
By the way, I
might
think
have
Porter
are
didn't. Oh no,
Miles Garrett and Denzel Ward are the only familiar
It wasn't
names.
Porter
And
Gustin
J.O.K.
on the
He
field.
had half a sack in that game.
5-star Porter Gustin.
5-star Porter Gustin. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Life comes at you fast, kids. The Raiders last week, they lost to Carolina 36-22. Their lone win is at Baltimore. The loss to Carolina prompted a bit of a threatening comment by head coach Antonio Pierce. And do we have that, I believe?
we might not.
Okay.
There was an issue.
He
with the
basically said
computer.
people made a business decision, is what he
And
said.
that if they continue, he's going to make.
He's going to
business.
make business decisions.
Yes.
So that's where you're on that. So they coming off a very rough week. So do we. Time to meet the Las Vegas Raiders. And for that, Dr. Z.
Gardner Minshew is the quarterback. Gardner Minshew, Pro Bowler in 2023. Did you know that?
You can almost convince me of anything with the Pro Bowl now.
From the quarterback position especially.
Snoop Huntley, like you can.
Played 4 games that year.
Yeah, you could convince me almost anything at quarterback.
Minshew this year, 1-2 as the starter, 74% completion, 747 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, 92.4 rating. He's been sacked 11 times. He has 7 carries for 18 yards. For his career, 16 of 24, 63%, 16 and 24 as a starter, 63% completions, 10,684 yards, 62 touchdowns, 27 picks, 90.3 rating. He has been sacked 116 times in 40 starts, so basically 3 a game. 639 yards rushing, 5 rushing touchdowns. Here's what's interesting. Against the Browns last year, as a member of the Indianapolis Colts, he was 15 of 23, 65%, 305 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 119 rating, 4 sacks. He had 3 carries for 29 yards and 2 career touchdowns. Now, if you remember, that game was week 6. He had more rushing yards in that game than he had going into week 6 against the Cleveland Browns. This year, he only has 18 yards rushing. We cannot. I'm sure they're going to try some of that read option stuff that Indy did against us because it worked for him. He's the starter. Aiden and O'Connell, their 4th-round pick from a year ago, is the backup. Last year, O'Connell went 5-5 as a starter, 62.5% completions, 12 touchdowns, 7 picks, 85 rating. He was sacked 25 times. So Minshew's still the starter. They said that. Can they throw the football a little bit? Yeah, they've got some nice weapons actually. Devontae Adams, you know him. He's 4 touchdowns away from 100 in his career. 6-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. Leads the team with 18 catches and 209 yards. He's got a score. Jacoby Myers, last week, 7 catches, 62 yards. He's got 3 straight 800-yard seasons, including 807 and a career-high 8 touchdowns his first year with the Raiders, the former undrafted free agent who played with New England. He's got 14 for 152 and a touchdown. And then Trey Tucker, their 3rd-round pick a year ago, had a career-high last week, 9 targets, 7 catches, 96 yards, and a touchdown. He's got 11 for 131 and a score on the season. So those are your receivers. Tight end, Brock Bowers is...
He's a dude.
He's on pace to do historic things. So right now, He's got 18 catches for 197 yards. Leads all tight ends with 18 catches. He leads all tight ends with 10 first down receptions, and he's second with 197 yards. If he has 5 catches in this game, that will give him 23. That'll be the most by a tight end in the first 4 games of their career in NFL history. If he has 46 yards against the Browns, that'll give him 243. That is also the most by a tight end in their first 4 games in NFL history. The yards would break the record of Sam Laporta set just a year ago. Their offensive line is not great. Their left tackle, Colton Miller, has allowed 5 sacks this year. That is the most of any player in the NFL. Cody Whitehair, solid there as the left guard, the veteran. Andre James, the center. Dylan Parham is the right guard, and he's been fine. Right tackle, Thayer Munford Jr., was their 7th-round pick in 22. He's already given up a couple of sacks. He got hurt early, former Ohio State Buckeye.
Yeah.
They replaced him with DJ Glaze, which is a name that could thrive in a great many industries out of Maryland.
Vegas. Who gets hurt?
He's given up a sack and 5 pressures in his limited action last week against Carolina. So if it's Colt Miller and DJ Glaze at the tackles, I think that we should get after Gardner Minshew.
We got the computer working if you want that Pierce cut. I didn't mean to interrupt you. No, it was on our end. Our internet was having issues.
Sure. Antonio Pierce.
The team just didn't seem to show up tonight.
No, they didn't. I think as the game went on, I don't think it was a team. I think there was definitely some individuals that made business decisions, and we'll make business decisions going forward as well.
I don't know a scenario where that is going to work long term. You're week 3,
and you're saying that he's threatening the players?
Yeah. I don't know if you do that behind doors, but to do that publicly.
Well, did it work for
week 3?
Did it work with Mike Singletary?
Did not. Can't have him.
Can't win with them.
No, it doesn't work.
Didn't work. So that's who they are on offense, in case you're wondering about some of their current ranks in the National Football League. Not pretty. They are the worst running team. Notice, I didn't even mention the running backs, but I will now. Zamir White is their leading rusher. He's got 32 carries for 102 yards. That's 3.2 yards a carry. Alexander Madison's got 12 carries for 27 yards. That's 2.3 a carry. And Amir Abdullah has 2 carries for 1 yard. They're averaging 51 yards rushing per game. Yes, that is last in the NFL. They're 21st in total offense, 32nd in rushing offense. Now, the number 4 passing offense, 17 in points per game, 25th on third downs, 25th on fourth downs, but they've been excellent in the red zone. They're not as good as the Browns, who have scored on every single red zone trip, but they are 5th there. Defensively, they have been dreadful. 30th in total defense, 29th in rush defense, 23rd in pass defense, 27th, giving up 27 points per game. And they've done that despite being the number 11 team in the league on third downs. They've turned the ball over. Their turnover differential is -4. That is 30th in the league. They have been the least penalized team in the league. However, they've been penalized 11 times to 29 for the Cleveland Football Browns. So on this defense, who do they have? Well, there are 2 names that you're probably familiar with, and then that might be the end of the list. Max Crosby, the 3-time Pro Bowler, had a career-high 14.5 sacks last year, 23 tackles for loss. He was one of the few people who had more tackles for loss than Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. On the season, he's already got 3 sacks, but he is dealing with a high ankle sprain, leads their team in sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, 5 quarterback hits, and he's got 11 pressures. The other one was their big free agent signing, Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle. They signed him to a 4-year, $110 million deal. Got his first half of a sack as a member of the Raiders last week, and 23 with Miami, career-high 9 sacks, 23 quarterback hits, and that's what got him paid. So they'll play a 4-man front. It'll be on one side Crosby, and the interior is going to be Christian Wilkins and John Jenkins. Now, they rotate their defensive tackles a lot. Adam Butler will play. He had 5 sacks a year ago for them. Nesta Jade Silvera, which is a great name. He will also play some of defensive tackle. On the other end, it's kind of a 3-man rotation. Tyree Wilson, their first-rounder from last year, was the 7th overall pick, 3.5 career sacks. And then they've got Janaris Robinson and Charles Snowden. Snowden got his first career sack last week. He got a half of a sack there. So that's the front. They play basically nickel the entire time. Their 2 linebackers are Robert Spillane, who was the former Steeler. Last year, his first year with the Raiders, 148 tackles, 3 picks, 7 tackles for loss. Played well. He leads the team this year with 32 tackles already. And then they've got Luke Masterson, who started this week, career high, 7 tackles, but Divine Diablo is actually their starter. He missed last week with an oblique injury, so something to keep an eye on there. But they play the two linebackers, and then their secondary, they lost Marcus Epps, their starting safety, to an ACL tear. He was second on the team in tackles this season. So their corners, they got Nate Hobbs on one side. He was a fifth-round pick in 21 out of Illinois. He's given up 60% completions, 115 rating, and a touchdown in coverage this year. The other side's Jack Jones, the former fourth-rounder of New England, who's got on the season, he's given up 70% completions, 126 rating, 2 touchdowns. But he is dangerous. Career 4 interceptions, 3 of them are pick sixes. The nickel corner, Jacorian Bennett, their fourth-round pick from a year ago, has actually played really, really well. 4 passes defense, that's 5th in the NFL, 38.5% completions, a 55 rating in coverage. Safeties, they got Trayvon Merrick, their second-rounder from a few years ago. He's struggled in coverage this year, but he does have 15 tackles, did have a career-high 3 picks in 23. And now they're going to have to start with Epps out, Isaiah Polamau, M-O-W, Mo.
Yeah.
Isaiah Polamau, who is the new starter. He's never started a game in his career, has 1 interception, and he is in his 3rd season. 1 interception, he's in his 3rd season, 1 pass defense. That's it. Has not been a starter. So they're going to have a new starter at strong safety that should be a weakness you can exploit. The corners have not done well, with the exception so far of Jacorian Bennett, who wears number 0 for them. But as I said, statistically, this is not a great defense. And this is a team that they can get after the quarterback with Max Crosby and Wilkins, I suppose, but it really has been interesting that Crosby has really been the only one that's consistently affected the quarterback for them. I thought this was an interesting stat. He leads the Raiders with 3 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, and 5 quarterback hits. The rest of the team combined has 2 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, and 7 quarterback hits. He's doing 50% of the team tackles for loss, is the highest in the NFL. So he has been kind of a one-man wrecking crew.
How did they beat Baltimore?
I don't know.
Do you want to know the team rushing stats? This was in Baltimore, and Baltimore was up 10 in the 4th.
Okay.
The Raiders ran it 17 times for 27 yards
yeah, that feels about
in the
right.
game against the Ravens.
Yep.
The turnover battle was about the same. The third downs are about the same. Somehow they win 26-23. Baltimore was up 10 in the 4th. It's one of the more stupefying results.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. They got They scored 13 unanswered to win it by 3.
Yeah, Baltimore went
Carlson
up
field goal.
26-16.
Yep.
No, 23 to 13.
Yep.
Yeah, and then somehow lose 26.
Minshew was 30 of 38 for 276. They didn't run
it's not.
It was Devontae and it was Bowers and
Yeah,
Derrick Henry ran
time.
it well. Lamar, no, it does not make a lot of sense when you look.
Baltimore
into
was 27 of 151 on the ground.
Crosby had
as a
2
team.
sacks. They had 5 sacks. Owe had 2.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Van Noy had 2. Michael Pierce had a half.
Strange.
That
Very
is
strange
wild.
result. All right, still to come, we've got a little bit of guess the scores. We've got a little bit of higher,
Oh,
lower.
man.
You'll hear from Coach as well. We'll go around the college football world. A wild thing happened overnight on that side of things. We'll get to all of that coming up. You listen to Cleveland Runs Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. When a medical mistake causes your injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time for a little college football. 4 downs. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, hi.
Good to see you.
Happy first Friday.
Indeed.
I'm ready for a cocktail.
You know what I made last night?
What'd you make?
Out of nowhere. I don't even know what, I was kind of craving a pickle. And I made a pickle margarita.
Ooh. Good?
Very good. And I like pickles.
I think you'd have
Love
to be
pickles.
in. Yeah.
You gotta like
pickle
pickles.
juice.
I'll start it there. So if you love pickle juice, you love pickles. So I did ice, and I went like probably 3 fingers of añejo tequila, house tequila that I had, and then I topped it off with pickle juice, like the brine.
Yeah.
And then I hit it with some celery salt. Delicious. Now I like pickle juice, but it was delicious. I love the flavor of pickles. And then I thought, because I have some of those, I think they're called Tony Pacos, like the
The pickles.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So I thought, well, what if we do this? And then you get a little bit of heat, and now you're cooking with gas. It was nice.
I like
it. I enjoyed it.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right. I like that for the kids.
Sure.
That
Well,
might
the
be
adults.
me today
the adults.
at 3:01.
Yeah, it'd be great for
great.
the golf. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly. 4 downs here in college football. First down. Bigger trap game for Ohio State. This Saturday at Michigan State or next Saturday versus Iowa.
I like doing this. Completely based
Let's go
on
college
nothing.
football, Nate.
Go.
Michigan State. I remember a few years ago when the Buckeyes thought they were going to the national title. Connor Cook doesn't even play.
Did not play.
And Sparty beat the Buckeyes. So for me, that still looms. That's still in my memory, and I can't let that happen again.
By the way, they've beaten Ohio State more than once when things have been on the line. John Cooper, maybe his greatest team ever.
They beat him in 98.
Yeah.
When's the last time Iowa beat them?
They beat him when Urban was there. They housed him.
Yes.
Out there. 98 was Plexico Burress.
Correct.
Touchdown down in the shoe, which was maybe Coop's best team. They beat him in 2012 in the Big Ten championship game, where if Ohio State would have won, they would have played Florida State for the national title, and they did not. That's Urban eating the pizza in the Big Ten
on the golf cart.
Indy, in the golf cart, yeah. And that was his first loss as a Buckeye coach. He'd won the first 2 years up until that Big Ten championship game. They beat him in 14 or 15 is the one you're referring to.
Yeah.
Which was
run the
as
damn
bad
ball.
as could be. Just run the ball, and Zeke said so afterwards. Like,
He
just run the
most
ball.
certainly
That's
did.
good. So, yeah, they've taken a lot. There was a while you could argue they've taken more than Michigan did. Not anymore, obviously, but there was a time.
Yeah.
The bigger trap game is Iowa. Michigan State. Michigan State has Jonathan Smith. He was the Oregon State head coach, and he's trying to build it back the way D'Antonio built it. But he is a sophomore quarterback named Aiden Childs, who's a really talented kid. He brought him with him from Oregon State. They have 61 new players on their roster. Michigan State does this year because they went from Mel Tucker to Jonathan Smith. And this kid will throw it to the other team. In 3 games, he's got 7 picks. That's not going to work against Ohio State. Neither of these are trap games is the short answer. But Iowa at least will be able to play stout defense, and they're slightly better offensively than they've been in the past. Again, neither of these teams are equipped.
Next.
Second down.
Let's talk a little bit about the situation that happened overnight again with the UNLV running Rebels. Hey, by the way, we can't load into Allegiant Stadium till Saturday night at 8 because UNLV and Fresno State play at 12:30.
Oh, really?
Day. Yeah, we can't
Why
get
don't
into
they
the
play
stadium
at their
till Saturday
stadium?
night.
Why don't they play at UNLV?
They are playing their games at Allegiant.
Really?
Yeah, maybe because it's supposed to be 105.
Feels like
Oh, could be. They're undefeated. They beat Kansas earlier in the year. All right, so I didn't know who this human was, and I talk college football as much as anybody in Ohio. Matt Sluke is the guy's name.
Okay.
He is a 4-year player at Holy Cross. He goes to UNLV. They're 3-0 to start the year. He puts out on his social media today that certain representations that were made to him were not upheld after I enrolled. In other words, I'm not being compensated the way that I was promised to via name, image, and likeness. UNLV then leaks it out through a reporter that they had an agreement. He came to them with his new representation and said, I want more. UNLV said, we're not paying you anymore. And he said, well, fine, then I'm out. Okay, so the reason he leaves now is because it saves his eligibility. You can play up to 4 games, less than 4 games. You can save your eligibility for the next time. His family then goes on the attack and says, actually, he was verbally promised $100,000, and they're paying him $3,000 a month. We just want what was promised. Okay? Here's the problem. There are no contracts.
Nope.
There are no rules. No one is protected. The player is not protected. The collective is not The program is not collected. It is a lawless, completely trust-based sport at the moment. So there's no fix. I do this every day, and sometimes I forget that other people aren't knee-deep in the muck on this and assume that there's guardrails. There are no guardrails. There's no protections and there's no guardrails. So there's no way – this is going to be he said, she said. There's no way to prove that he was offered $100,000 because it was verbal. And guess what? At places like Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, they're not putting anything in a contract either. It's all verbal. Guess what else? The coaches who are trying to get these NIL to these players have to take the players' word on what they're offered by other teams. You know why? Because there's no contracts.
That's right.
So you could be recruiting little Timmy linebacker from St. Ed's, and he could say, boy, Texas offered me $250,000. I'm going to need $275,000 to play for Ohio State. There's no way for Ohio State to prove that he was offered that. You're taking his word at it. That's where you're at. That's how messy it is.
I mean, they're going to derail their whole season. They're 3-0.
I don't blame the kid either. If it's true that he was offered $100,000, imagine if you took a job. Let's say you're an accountant, and you took a job at another accounting agency, at a bigger agency for more money, and you're working there for a month, and they're like, they're not paying you.
Yeah, they're like, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Wait a second. But guess what would save you? A contract.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you're paying me $3,000
a month,
that's $15K. That's a little off from the $100K was promised.
Right, exactly right.
If you're going a 5-month,
which you would be, because you'd be going July, August, September, October, November.
Yeah.
Yeah,
mess.
That's insane.
Mess.
Next.
Absolute mess.
Third down.
Big one Saturday in the SEC.
Yep.
Who's under more pressure going into this week's game, Georgia or Alabama?
The answer is easy. It's Georgia. Alabama, new coach, new regime, new era. The expectations can't possibly be what they would have been under Nick Saban, and Georgia is loaded. They've won national titles more recently than Alabama, and I think that they have the most pressure. They have more to lose.
Trick question, neither. Doesn't matter.
It's early in the year.
It's early in the year. Doesn't matter. Like, the way the SEC scheduled philosophically was to play the hits. So, for example, here's what they're going to say. Our 9-3 is better than your 11-1. Go ahead.
If
Mr.
it weren't a trick question, would I have gotten it right?
I think the more pressure. I don't think that Kalen DeBoer has to win the game against Georgia, but he can't get housed.
Yeah.
There's no pressure on Georgia in that they've won 2 national titles. They're loaded. But
they want to keep.
They're going to be in the mix. The pressure is on DeBoer not to get routed. It's in Tuscaloosa. If it's bad, because last time Alabama played Georgia, they beat them in the SEC title game. So he's
kept
got
Georgia out.
It's got to look right for them. They don't have to. It doesn't really matter who wins or loses, but it just can't be a blowout one way or the other. To give you an idea what I mean when I say play the hits, Georgia played Clemson in the non-conference. Okay, so Clemson's currently ranked 14th. Alabama's currently ranked 4th. They play, remaining on the schedule, Georgia Bulldogs, number 1 Texas, number 6 Ole Miss, number 5 Tennessee.
Yep.
That's the hits.
Alabama, Clemson. They play 4 teams that are ranked in the top 6 in the country, and they're ranked 2nd, and a team that was ranked in the top 15 in the country and is again currently at Clemson. I think DeBoer can't get blown out. It's going to be a great game.
No blowout.
You want to see like NFL dudes?
That's a game to watch.
Watch it.
By the way, the most fun I've had this week has been driving home from work, listening to Paul Feinbaum and the people coming out of the sticks in Alabama and Georgia talking trash to one another, and then drunk Texas fan calling in going, we're the better than all of you anyways, and this is our first year in the SEC. Well,
Paul is hugging Greg Sankey, the commissioner of the SEC, every day because of what he's done with his schedule.
Yeah.
There is no reason for Georgia to play Alabama in September. None.
if we can.
Absolutely none. So, what do I got? Oh, you're listening to 850 ESPN Cleveland, WKNR, a good Karma Brands station.
Next.
Fourth down.
If the SEC and Big Ten were to merge and you're ranking all the teams, you put them all together, where's the second Big Ten team?
Oregon is, I think Texas, Georgia, and Ohio State are basically the same. I would put Alabama 4. I think Alabama, Tennessee, and Oregon are all kind of similar. So I think they would be, you could argue, as high as 4, as low as 6. But they're better than Ole Miss. Now, where it gets tricky is the
Where's
next
LSU
couple.
at?
A little bit down.
Ever since that guy did that spinning video, forget it.
I mean, they lost to USC, who lost to Michigan, so
Who didn't throw the ball?
who threw it for 32 yards
Didn't throw the ball.
in the game. So yeah, I think Oregon is still pretty legitimate. They're getting really disrespected because they had some tight games early, but I still think they got some players and they'll be all right.
By the way, I got a chance to listen to the end of the Michigan USC game with our guy, the play-by-play voice of USC, who pulls no punches. As
Josh
we know.
Rosen. I don't know how he is as a quarterback evaluator. Sam Darnold's doing a little bit better. And
Think
was his
that
guy.
interview and translate it to that end of that game, and it was spectacular.
They couldn't tackle.
He had to be very unhappy.
He goes, well, when your defense isn't good, you're not going to win.
Yep.
I'm like, okay.
They had to go 80 yards to win the game, and they did not throw the ball. So all you had to do is tackle.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
There was no threat of pass for Michigan in the game. Howard Hanna, official real estate provider of your Cleveland Browns. Exclusive buyer agent is there to help you navigate the field, save time, money, and score the winning touchdown. A new home, win big with the leader in real estate. Visit howardhanna.com/go Browns for more. Second hour of the program, lots of fun. Gosh, guess the scores. You got a little higher or lower. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. It's your Uncle Bo here from my friends at the James B. Beam Distilling Company. Booker No's vision for Knob Creek was to be the full embodiment of full-flavored American whiskey through age, proof, and flavor. You create that product that sets the standard, and they've done it with Knob Creek. It's created to champion those who stay true to their craft, know what they like, and don't feel pressure to conform. This fall, don't forget to take advantage of the Knob Creek Steak Rebate. You buy a Knob Creek bourbon plus a steak. You upload a picture of your receipt to knobcreeksteakrebate.com, and they're going to send you $20 right to your Venmo account. You must be 21 to participate. See full terms at knobcreeksteakrebate.com. Knob Creek, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, 50% alcohol by volume. 2024 James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Knob Creek. Drink what tastes right. And now some highlights from Coach Stefanski's presser from earlier today.
Okay, going on.
You're down 7.5.
Las Vegas, spent a lot of time just watching them the last couple days, talented football team. So we got to have a great week of preparation, and that's really where it starts for us is worry about our preparation, then get on an airplane and try to find a way to get a victory. That's what our focus is, and that's what we're working towards. So with that, I'll take any questions.
List of guys not practicing. You ruling anybody out yet at this point for the Sunday?
We'd have to go by. Yeah, I don't see him being ruled out. Yeah.
What about your tackle situation? Do you expect James and Dewan to practice today?
I do.
Do you have to add somebody?
We will. Yeah.
With Dewan's struggles Sunday against the Giants, how much of that is the knee, and do you think the knee will be good enough?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was not feeling totally 100%. Now, there were at times where he looked like himself, but he's got to work through it, see if he's able to go this week. But he's also had some good moments for us this season when healthy, so we'll try to get him as healthy as we can.
You guys have to discuss if Miles getting a week or two off would be beneficial, or does it just come with Friday or Saturday?
Yeah. Obviously, you would be smart if there's ever a decision to be made with every player. I feel like Miles is determined to continue to play. He's working through injuries like a lot of guys, and he's played through injury in his past. But, of course, you'd always make smart decisions with your players.
Defenses seem to struggle against the run. For you guys, establishing the run seems to be something you want to do. Is it more important in a game like this where you can maybe exploit what they have been showing?
Yeah, I think obviously getting on track on offense is a very big goal of ours going into any game. You mentioned the run game. I think it's important for us to be efficient as an offense and be explosive when available to us. But it's certainly a emphasis for us, yes.
See on film when you look at Gardner Minshew, Vegas said this week that they're going to stick with him, the quarterback.
Well, we've seen him firsthand last season in Indianapolis, made a ton of plays for them. He's a playmaker, has played a lot in this league, has seen a lot in this league, has great skill players around him. I think very highly of him.
You talk that you guys don't have an offensive identity right now. Do you feel like you need to have an identity such as we're jumbo, we're spread, or do you want to be multiple?
Yeah, I think we just need to play good football. Obviously, we've done it at times. At times, we've gotten in our own way. So that's the focus for us, is just playing good football.
You rolling out David Njoku?
No, not yet. He's going to do some work this week, so we'll see.
Hicks has been so important to this defense. When did he sustain that injury, and do you expect him to be in doubt?
Yeah, I forget. I remember watching the play. I don't remember exactly when it was, but he has played really, really good football for us. He's excellent off the field, provides great leadership. We'll see how this week goes.
Are you that you can keep Deshaun upright and protect him and do all the things that you say you know you need to do in the wake of all of these injuries on the offensive?
That's our job, Mary Kay, and in order to play good football, good offensive football, we need to protect the quarterback better than we have, and that starts with me, and I'll make sure that we get that fixed.
Sure, he's been under in these first 3 weeks. Just from your perspective, how do you think he has held up, not just from a physical standpoint, a mental standpoint, but also the decision-making aspect, seeing the field, all those type of things?
Yeah, I think for us as an offense, we need to put it all together. I wouldn't single any one player out. We haven't been good enough just yet. but we're working very hard. I believe in the people we have. I believe in what we're doing. It's just a matter of working real hard this week and then, taking that practice field to the game field on Sunday.
Max Crosby, just what makes him special, and how different was he with that high ankle last week?
Not much different to me. I mean, his motor is unbelievable. He rarely comes off the field, but just gives you everything he has. He's long. He's athletic. He plays through the whistle. He's a great, great player.
Zach brought up in the game about the importance of cross-training and how that helps him kind of being able to go into any situation. So how does that help those guys when you have to sort of shuffle around?
Yeah, when you when you have 8 players up on game day, those 3 backups really have to be able to play multiple positions, whether it's tackle to guard, guard to center, et cetera. So Zach has worked really hard to understand all 5 positions, and I think that only helps him and helps a player when they start getting regular playing time.
The Conklin hamstring injury, was that Friday or was that in a walkthrough on Saturday?
Friday, yeah.
Confident quarterback look like? My guy's playing confident. What is it? What's he doing?
Yeah, I mean, you've seen it from our guys. You've seen it from Deshaun. It's a confident quarterback is really with the entire offense doing their job. And I think it goes back to the messaging of you need all 11. It's not a one-man show. So I think a confident quarterback really falls in line with a confident offense that trusts each other and moves the ball.
Deshaun is at confidence-wise right now?
Yeah, we need to play better offensively. I understand the quarterback gets a lot of criticism, gets a lot of blame, gets the glory, those type of things. And Deshaun knows that. He's been doing this his whole life. But we need to play better offensively is what I would tell you.
How do you guys combat things like what the Giants were doing when they're hitting you guys with the quick game stuff?
Yeah, I think what you're saying on our defense. Yeah, we often see teams that get the ball out quickly, obviously with Miles and our pass rush. So that's nothing new. We can. There's things that we can absolutely do better, knowing that the ball is coming out as quick as it is. But playing sound defense really encompasses the rush and the coverage working together.
Point of emphasis for you guys to instruct Deshaun to maybe not try to extend the play every single time, or to kind of get rid of the ball a little bit quicker?
I think there's a balance there, Mary Kay, and I think if you watch, there's a lot of players who have God-given ability to make plays outside the framework of the play that you don't want to totally take that away from them. Then there's always the balance of making sure that you're not taking hits when you can avoid them, those type of things. So that's always a conversation.
When trying to get the run game going, you have a quarterback like Deshaun who can move. I know you don't want to expose him to too many hits, but how much do you consider maybe getting him involved there to try and even it up, make the defense account for everybody?
We've done some things already this season that include the quarterback. But I think, again, it goes back to the answer of run game really does. It's not a one-man show, and it's not, hey, if the running back sees this or if the offensive line does this. It really does take all of us to be efficient in that area.
Deshaun has looked as a ball carrier this year.
Yeah, he's made some plays for us. Again, that's definitely part of his arsenal.
All right, there you go. That's from the podium presented by Vivid Seats. Purchase your official fan experience package today for the ultimate game day. Also, voting is now open for our high school football game of the week. The Browns select one high school game in Northeast Ohio to be featured as the high school game of the week, presented by Ohio Cat in association with Forever Lawn. The matchups this week are Jackson and Perry, Crestwood and Chagrin Falls, Rhodes versus John Hay, Walsh Jesuit versus Benedictine. Vote now at clevelandbrowns.com for more on that.
By the way,
Dr. Z?
5 minutes ago, the UNLV's NIL collective, UNILV, made the following statement. They said, quote, to clarify, there were no formal NIL offers made during Mr. Sluka's recruitment process. Additionally, friends of UNLV did not finalize or agree to any NIL offers while he was a part of the team, aside from a completed community engagement event over the summer. Didn't you say to the point? Of course there are no formal offers made. That's duh.
Nobody makes formal offers.
Right.
You don't want a paper trail.
Right.
There's been a lot of nonsense this morning on this thing. A lot. And it's a lot of people who don't understand what's going on. But my hope is, at the very least, now they open their eyes and go, oh, this is what's happening in college football at the moment. Because here's what's going to happen. This is going to be a time, and it could come this year in the college football playoff. It could come on the eve of a rivalry game where quarterback at Big State U or running back at Big State U says, you know what, in order to play in the Ohio State-Michigan game, and it wouldn't happen with those two, but I'm just using it because it's a local example, I'm going to need an extra $200,000 by Thursday. Oh.
So
are you?
There's a very famous story from that I'm sure is probably in the Mr. McMahon document series, which I'm excited to watch.
I know.
The Ultimate Warrior did that before SummerSlam. Was like, actually, I'm going to need an extra that to go out there for SummerSlam. By the way, did not go well for him in that.
Did it go well for him that night?
No.
So he never got any of it. So
No,
even though he
it just-
tried holding him hostage, it was
They were
no.
just like, yeah, no. Yeah.
They were not going to have that. Yeah. So the difference is McMahon owns that entity, and nobody owns this one.
Correct.
So, mess. We will guess the scores coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, preferred provider of copiers and document services for your Cleveland Browns. They'll tackle any size office. The number there is 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. Time for a little segment we like to call Guess the Scores. And for that, we bring on Dr. Z.
It's our record, like
1 and 2, baby.
1 and 2. But it's
like
tough.
the Browns.
It's tough out there in the streets. Time to get on the right side of things. And we begin on Thursday Night Football. Al Kirk, Kaylee Hartung, Prime Video. Dallas at the G-Men. We have the G-Man and the G-Men. Have you seen both of these teams?
I think neutral field, it's Cowboys -7. They're on the road. Cowboys -5.
Cowboys -6. Cowboys -6. All right, on to Sunday, the 1 o'clock games. Just ram it, 1-2, visiting Soldier Field to take on the Bears, also at 1-2.
The Bears -2.
Got it. -2.5. Bears.
I don't know
-2.5.
why. Well, I mean, the Rams with a solid win over the Niners.
Yeah, it's a
road game.
Great fortune.
All right, coming up next, we head to the ATL, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The Saints coming off their first loss of the season at the 1-2 Falcons. This is a Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma experience on the Fox network at 1 o'clock in Atlanta.
Saints coming off of a disappointing loss. Maybe the book's out on them. Falcons at home. Should have beaten the Chiefs, quite frankly. So I think they're probably pretty good. I'm going to go Falcons -2.
Got it. Falcons -1.5. Good job at you. All right, coming up next, we are headed to Minnesota. Vikings.
It's a good one.
At Lambeau.
You can watch
sir.
this one while we're waiting
Vikings
for our game.
at Lambeau. Vikings at Lambeau.
Green Bay.
I'm gonna tell you something real quick here. We do not have a quarterback designation on this game.
Yeah.
So
Green Bay.
Friday, I'm happy to give you credit for that. We can talk through that. Today, no credit.
Green Bay -2.
yeah, but it doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean?
To
That's
me.
right.
No, it's 2.5. So you
So
get
I
it.
get it.
But it doesn't make any sense to me because that feels like a Jordan Love return line.
Malik
and not
is
a
2-0.
I understand, and I'm big LaFleur. It's about the only thing he's got right the last 2 weeks. But that does not make a lot of sense to me that they would be favored by that much.
I'm 3-1.
Minnesota's 3-0.
Let's not worry about it.
All right, we are in Indy, the Spiro Ditas Anna Marcelletta game. It is Pittsburgh at the Colts.
Pittsburgh's got to be favored.
Pittsburgh at the Colts.
Pittsburgh -2.5.
Come on, yellow.
Got it. -2. You get a lot of these in this 2.5 zone, buddy. Denver, it's a good job out of you. In New York, MetLife, rather East Rutherford. Denver at the Jets. Denver at the Jets.
Jets -6.5.
No. Jets -7.5.
I think, isn't this the week that Denver is at the Greenbrier?
7.5?
Yep.
That doesn't seem possible.
All right, staying in the 1 o'clock window, Eagles at Bucks. Eagles at Bucks at Raymond James Stadium. Eagles at Bucks. Eagles coming off the big win. Bucks coming off an embarrassing loss.
Eagles -1.5.
Eagles -2.5.
That's right. So the Broncos did not come home. Broncos played in Tampa, then flew to West Virginia.
By the way,
Country
I'd be
roads.
7-0 if I got a point. If I was getting a point, I'd be 7-0.
Well, I mean, that's like something my kid would say. I got an 89.5. If I got a half more point, I would have got an A. No, but you didn't.
That's back-to-back days. You fired one off, Segura.
All right, here you go.
Benefit you.
Cincinnati and Charlotte against the Panthers. Cincinnati, this is the Red Rifle return date.
What a reunion.
In Carolina?
In Carolina. It's a Kevin Kugler, Daryl Johnston, Laura Oakham on this as well.
Cincinnati -5.5.
Cincinnati -4. Staying in the 1 o'clock window, final one.
4.5.
Houston, Jacksonville, 0-3 at the Texans off of an embarrassing loss to Minnesota.
Houston -7.
Yeah, Houston -6.
Yeah, that should be a get-right game. By the way.
Tell you this, though, if we learned anything, remember I had this stat yesterday of 6 or more favorites, like 2 and 15 on those, and 9 outright winners. 4 o'clock window, Glendale, Commies at Cards. Jaden Daniels experience in Arizona.
Arizona -2.
No. Arizona -3. Which I don't – Arizona's 2 losses are quality losses, but Washington scored on their last 11 possessions. It's in a dome. I feel like the kid will do well there. Cliff returning home as well. 4:05, Patriots at Niners from the Gene Stadium.
Niners minus.
This is a Joe Davis.
6.5.
Niners -10.
Excuse me?
That's right.
10.
By the way, Brock Purdy's like day-to-day with back stuff.
Niners -10. Browns, that's the biggest line I think we've seen all year. I don't think there's been one bigger than that. There was 9.5. Detroit was 9.5 once. That's 10's as big as I've seen. I feel like the Niners, have they had another one that big?
No.
10? All right, here we go. Browns at Raiders. Vegas. Allegiant. This is a very interesting one based on what it was Sunday, by the way. So there's a hint for you.
Raiders -1.
Nope. Raiders -2. On Sunday, it was us -2.
The only reason I'm looking so befuddled is this is one that I actually had seen, and I saw that it was Raiders -1. So now
So
I'm
it's
very
moved that much
confused.
in the course of the
It's
day.
moved that much in 2 hours.
So it was like, but it moved that much from Sunday because it
Who's
was.
who's what?
This is ESPN, which is what
maybe,
I always use.
maybe it's different than
ESPN
CBS.
bet, but this was a. It was
That was
Browns.
one that I thought was a win for sure because I'd seen it.
You'd seen it, yeah. Browns.
That doesn't seem
we were favored on Sunday for the Cuz.
Yeah, I know we were favored.
We were favored by 2. All right, 4:25. This is.
I mean, if you can't get
Chiefs.
ones that you've seen, how are you supposed to compete in this
How
game?
are you supposed to do the rest of it? Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs at Chargers. This is your Nance Romo game in the 4:25 window.
Chiefs -4.5.
Chiefs -8.5.
Oh, Herbert.
Let's got to think Herbert's not playing. By the way, do you know who's on our call?
By the way, I was 4-1, and
You
I'm
are.
now 5-8.
We've got a Beth Mowens, a Jay Feely, a
Yeah,
Ross
that's on
Tucker.
ours.
That's
Ross
on
Tucker.
ours.
Yeah, I talked to
Ross Tucker
Ross.
is nice. That's good.
Yeah, I talked to
8:20 Sunday Night Football. It is the Bills and Ravens. Bills and Ratbirds in Baltimore. Gentlemen, it's Baltimore.
Bills -3.
Baltimore -2.5.
What?
Yep. I'm telling you. It's tough in the streets, brother.
No sense.
It's tough in the streets. All right, Monday Night Football. We have that
They have
doubleheader that you and I love so much.
The Ravens don't even have 3 of their starting offensive linemen.
Here's something else. We get a redo of the Monday Night Football doubleheader that we had
Good.
this week, which you and I
Loved
enjoyed a great deal. 7:30.
It really worked
We're
for
beginning
me.
with Titans at Dolphins from Hard Rock. We have no idea who's quarterbacking Miami.
Dolphins -3.
Dolphins -1. That's another one that moved a lot because Levis was favored earlier in the week. Sunday he was favored. Tough week. I mean, it's tough. Tough in the streets. The late Monday night game is Seattle at Detroit.
Did you see the Lions are throwing out the unis?
All black. Yep.
Yeah, they look
I did
great.
see
They
that.
look spectacular.
They do look good. It's a cheat code, but they look good. 3-0 Seahawks.
Who
2-1
cares? I've
Leos.
already lost. Lions -3.
Got it. Lions -3.5.
What was his final record?
6-10.
6-10.
1-3 on the season.
That happens.
I'm telling you, folks.
I mean, I couldn't even get the one that I'd seen.
It's
so
tough out there in the
that
streets
makes it real
right
hard.
now. They're moving a lot. I don't think the guys out there know what's going on week to week. We'll play a little higher or lower coming up next. Just a Cleveland Browns Daily brought to you by Ballybet. Sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Back for another season from your favorite four-legged companions. This year's year 3 of the Barking Backers presented by Milkbone, the official fan club for dogs. View membership options. Join today. BarkingBackers.com. Time for a little higher or lower. Hello, Gibby.
Gentlemen, ready for that pickle margarita?
It's good, man.
I am officially ready for that.
Pretty good.
On this first Friday.
If you're a pickle guy. I don't have a craving for them.
It's all right. I like it.
It was good. It was good.
I appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
Higher or lower today, NFL.com Power Rankings, compliments of our good friend Eric Edholm, lead writer for the site. This is based on what they've done to this point in 2024. Not what they can be, not what they hopefully will be, especially in our case. Currently, what their power rankings are.
Okay.
That being said, let's kick it off. At number 26, your Cleveland Browns. Ahead of them, Miami at 25, Chicago at 24, Arizona at 23.
Who's behind?
New England at 27, the Raiders at 28, the G-Men at 29, Jacksonville at 30.
We cannot be ahead of the Giants.
How are we ahead of the Giants?
I don't know.
You can't. They just came here and whipped us.
At
They
home.
did.
Can't be ahead of them. Quite honestly, you probably can't be ahead of the Raiders either. They won in Baltimore. All we've got is a win in Jacksonville, who's winless. So, truth serum, kids.
I don't know.
I can no longer choose the wine in front of me.
We need to win. I don't care about. We need to win. I don't like. It's enough of being like, oh, we're being disrespected. If that mattered, we wouldn't be 1-2.
Past it.
We're long past it. We've been being maybe properly respected, but it felt like disrespected. Our quarterback had been disrespected in all the preseason rankings, all of it. So,
as it stands right now,
you gotta go. You gotta win. I mean, that's it.
As it stands right now, the way that we were perceived in August is what we are.
Unfortunately, right now, yes. I hope that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to stay that way, but that's where it is now.
I hope that is not true for a great many moons. I hope that is not true.
You just cannot in any way have us ahead of the Giants. They just beat us here. That doesn't make any sense.
Correct. Other than you have you still don't believe that the Giants.
I'm just trying to see what.
It's very strange.
Yeah, I'm just reading their explanation of the Giants, and it's like, I mean, we don't do Giants daily, so I'm not going to fight for it too much, but that's a pretty straightforward. We all watch that game.
Next.
Higher or lower?
To the top of the NFL.com rankings with Eric Edholm. Kansas City is number 1. Buffalo is number 2. And number 3 are the Minnesota Vikings. Higher, lower, or just right for that trio of teams, Bo Bishop.
What did you say when we led this segment? These are ranked on what they have done so far.
What they have done to this point.
There is no scenario that if this isn't carryover or belief of what teams can be, that the Buffalo Bills aren't number 1. There's none.
I agree.
And there's no scenario where Kansas City has been better the first 3 weeks than they have. Kansas City could have
be 0-3.
Lost every game they've won pretty simply
Easily.
with a sliding doors moment.
Yeah.
Buffalo houses people.
Destroys them.
I mean, the only game they played close was Arizona, and Arizona's proven to be friskier than most people thought.
Yeah. Gibby, where did you say Jacksonville was?
Jacksonville
30.
was number 30.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Bills should be 1.
All right. So the Vikings are 3rd. Higher, lower, or just right?
Duck to Z.
The Bills are number 1.
Vikings, though.
Vikings 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green Bay's favored against them at home right now.
Well, it's in Green Bay.
Still. Green Bay's still favored against them.
They
You
are.
wouldn't think for a team that would be number 3. So the undefeateds you have to choose from. I also would have Seattle.
Seattle Steelers.
There's 5 of them. There's Bills, Chiefs, Vikings, Squealers,
Seattle. I mean, I'm not going to fight them on it. I could easily take Seattle though.
So here's my problem going back to what we've been talking
about. Minnesota does have a very impressive win.
Home against
they
the
got
Niners.
2 and against Houston. So
It was
Houston's
a
pretty
slumping.
good.
Yeah, I'll keep them there. I think that seems appropriate.
They've got 2 really good wins.
I wrote it Buffalo, Kansas City, Minnesota, Seattle were my 4. So fine with it.
Who did Minnesota beat in week 1?
The G-Men, 28-6.
Okay, so they went Slumptown, close game against Niners, but win, and then Slumptown. Yeah, this is appropriate. I'd go Bills, KC, Minnesota.
Yep.
Next,
Higher or lower?
the Leons are number 4. The Eagles are number 5. Texans number 6. Packers number 7. And it takes us to number 8.
What?
The Baltimore Ravens at 1 and 2 are number 8 in Eric Edholm's power rankings. Nathan Zagura, higher, lower, or just right for Zaratberg.
It's just if
it's not
I have a hard idea of what we're trying to do here. Now you could say, okay, Isaiah Likely has his toe cut off. They win. They're 1-0. They hold on to a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter against Vegas. They're 2-0. They slump for a while. Slumped Dallas. It didn't ultimately end that way. They could be 3-0. I understand that. I just think we need to either decide as a collective, you and I.
I think these people that make these lists need to decide what they're doing.
Or they need to say it in the opening.
Yes.
I'm doing this based on who I think the best teams are, regardless
The
of their
Athletic
record.
is usually really good at that. Prisco's actually pretty good at that.
Or
at
this is
defining.
based solely on what we've seen for 3 games.
If you can only trust what you see with your eyes, then there's no scenario where Baltimore's ranked this high. If you want to, and I think they're overvalued in the offseason. You and I were on that all offseason long. But if you're saying, well, I believe they're the 8th best team in football, then that's something else entirely.
I mean, I
So
don't.
there's no scenario where their start to the season more impressive than New Orleans
Or Pittsburgh's.
or Pittsburgh's for that matter.
Seattle?
Or Seattle's for that
Like,
matter.
yeah.
No.
Next.
Seattle's like 11.
The Squealers are number 9 at 3-0.
And the Seahawks are 11.
Yeah. The Saints are 10th. The Seahawks are 11th. It takes us to number 12. And the Fighting Pedros. The 49ers are 1 and 2.
That feels appropriate to me. You're putting them not in the top 10, but is that still a top half team in the league? Yeah. Who wants to play them? Nobody.
Do my favorite college football thing to do, and some people get really annoyed by this, but I really enjoy it. If San Francisco played Baltimore right now on the surface of the moon, what's the line?
I think the Niners are favored.
So do I.
Well, he's got the Rams are 19. They just beat the Niners.
Right. So that's the thing. Like, he's giving Baltimore the benefit of the doubt based on his belief.
Yes.
But he's not doing the same with the Niners. He's not doing head-to-head because
Niners
we're
have
ahead
the
of the
injuries.
Giants, and the Niners are ahead of the Rams.
Yeah.
The Rams just beat them.
Yeah. The Jets should be higher.
Jets should
than
be
13.
higher than they are.
Yeah,
Yes,
better
their
than
only
that.
loss, and they just got off schedule against the Niners. They were right with them. There's that play in the first half of that game where they run the wrong route, and that the Niners game, Wilson runs the wrong route, or there's confusion, whatever it was.
Yep.
Him and Rodgers were on the same page, and then they had to chase that game. And we have to chase the Niners, especially week 1 when they're healthy. It's a tough task.
Yeah.
But they've been more than fine the last 2 weeks. They were really good last week on Thursday.
Yeah, the Jets are 13th.
By the way, go Chargers, go, as Arnold Schwarzenegger would say. 14th, the chart, they're pretty good.
They are.
And if Herbert doesn't get hurt, that game goes down to the end between them and Pittsburgh.
I know, but it did.
It did, but like
they also lost Joey Bosa, Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
both
Bosa's
tackles
gone
and
for like
Bosa.
4 weeks. He won't come back till he's 100%.
You know how that goes.
I mean, I think Washington needs to be higher or better than they are. That quarterback, that kid is unreal. Now they have the worst pass defense in the league by a wide margin, and
What
makes
did
it
you
be
make of them
unsustainable.
dogs at Arizona?
Arizona's gonna be able to throw on them. They're giving up. They're giving up. You want to hear something crazy?
Well, he scores every time he has it.
Yes, quarterbacks against the Commanders this year are 23 of 32 for 264 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a rating of 128. That is per game. Those are the per game averages. So far, every quarterback against them has thrown multiple touchdowns and no picks. Bake 289 and 4. That was his best game of the year.
2 minutes.
Danny
2 minutes.
Dimes 178 and 2. I wish that was his best game of the year. And then Burrow 324 and 3. Nobody's thrown a pick. They've given up 9 passing touchdowns. Every quarterback over 100 rating. I mean, they have some serious issues on the back end. I think they're saying that Kyler and Marvin Harrison and all them. And plus, it goes back to what I said a couple of weeks ago. Arizona's tough at home.
Getting
Like,
lulled
are
to
they?
sleep at those nice little
Are
quiet,
they?
sleepy
I
resorts
remember it well.
in the
Are they?
mountains.
Yeah.
Are we sure? Are
They were, and then they got robbed of a pick six last week. Otherwise, they'd be 2 and
They
beat
are
Cover City at home.
They're my favorite frisky team.
They are.
Arizona's my
They're fun.
frisky team.
Good uniforms too.
Yeah, they'll bounce around a little bit. They can sling it to Marv like they've got, and they other things too. Kyler's playing with a lot of confidence. He's moving around. They're kind of a fun team. He's got them 23rd on this, by the way. He's got Denver ahead of them. He's got Cincinnati ahead of them.
No.
He's got the Titans 32nd as we wrap this up.
I mean, here's the thing about Tennessee that I think is going to come back as just an absolutely stupefying what if. What if Mike Vrabel, who's right here in the building, is not effusive of his praise of New England when they put him in the Ring of Honor, which does not upset ownership in Tennessee?
What if they just don't trade A.J. Brown?
Well, sure. All of that true. But, I assumed Vrabel would be there for 20 years the way Tomlin is. And if they had an identity, they had give a damn, they had all that. Instead, they go Brian, who takes his dad with him down there. Levis does a stupefying thing every week. They had an identity with Vrabel.
Yes.
They could have just Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans walk hand in hand forever, and it would have had a lot of wins.
Yes.
Is the reality of it. All right, there you go. Next level's next. I didn't even know we were doing this. Next level's next.
I told you in the commercial.
I wasn't listening.
Figured.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily 850 ESPN Cleveland.